Guys, what if I told you that Windsor, Ontario was about to start receiving every year about $2.5 to $3.5 billion a year in additional manufacturing contracts? And they have nothing to do with cars and they have nothing to do with batteries. And I'm talking about the military. I'm Reese Trenna from the Vanguard team at Manor Realty. This stuff is very important if you're looking for stability in your real estate investments, and this is why I go over it in these videos. So the country is about to start ramping up its total military spend per year up to a whopping $60 billion. This is a lot more than we're used to. What makes it interesting is the Prime Minister is focused on making sure approximately 70% at the minimum of that spend on military is Canadian domestic manufacturing. Now, Windsor is not going to get most of this. Most of this is going to go to aerospace and to shipbuilding, right? In building deep water ports and all that kind of stuff. That we're not getting that. Windsor is getting actually an expansion to our port. I don't think that's so much for military though. I think that's more going to be sort of beefing up Coast Guard, but also the ability to take shipping containers, which again, when you talk about Windsor becoming probably the logistical hub in Canada, the government knows what they're doing. Like you do that, Detroit doesn't have that. And it just opens up so much more. Anyway, sorry guys, tangent. So what you're going to see though is Windsor's literally built, right? It's built to do so much of those contracts. So much of those contracts. In fact, we already do a lot of military contracts here, which people don't realize, but we do them for the States. So for example, 35 fighter planes, I think it's between 30 and 40 parts in those planes are all made in Windsor. Now, but granted, there's probably a gazillion parts in those planes, but I mean, we do participate in this already. So what you're going to find is our tool, die, and mold industries are going to get, as I said, anywhere between about $2.5 billion to $3.5 billion a year, which works out to about 5 to 8% of the total spend that the government anticipates making every year. So why that matters is two reasons. One is whenever you're able to economically diversify your city, you're adding stability, right? So think in times of recession. Let's say there's a global recession, right? Those military contracts don't go away, right? The government keeps spending that money every year in good times or bad on military equipment. So that further stabilizes your tool, die, and mold industries locally, right? So the stability thing is great. And then, of course, these companies are not stopping doing the other contracts they're already doing for automotive, for battery, for aerospace, for nuclear power plants, for everything. We build everything down here now. And it wasn't like that when I started in real estate 23 years ago. There's been a real economic diversification of manufacturing, which again, stability and greater profits. So you're going to now stack military contracts on top of that. And I have clients I know are already pursuing those contracts. Like they're not stupid. They're all over it. I think the other nice thing too is a lot of the tool, die, and mold industry are anticipating the electronic vehicle phenomena to continue happening. Like it's almost like a burp right now, right? Where you have an odd political situation that likely won't last and will allow things to get back to some sort of predictability and stability. And what you'll see is North America is going to be forced to catch up to Europe and forced to catch up to Asia because they haven't had the slowdown that we've had because of government policy in North America. So as those EVs come online, they have fewer parts, right? And when you're tool, die, and mold industry, that means you're building fewer tools, dies, and molds for those cars, right? So the traditional combustible engine had tons of little parts in the engine. But EVs don't. It's a lot simpler. This is where you also gain some stability as they pivot into different markets. One of those markets is going to be military. So, and by the way, guys, we're not expecting some kind of massive drop, manufacturing because all of a sudden we're doing EVs. It's more that you're just seeing diversification and expansion. Like if you could see how busy and how much of my week goes to industrial clients, like right now during a trade war, like you would be shocked. They're expanding, and they're expanding because of diversification. These guys are a resilient bunch down here in Windsor because when things happen in the States, it hits Windsor in a different way than the rest of the country. I'll give you one of many examples. 9/11 happens, and you guys go, oh, those poor Americans, we're going to pray for them. Okay, great. We go, holy smokes, the border's closed. How are we going to export and import all the stuff that we're doing with cars and just-in-time delivery? Right? How's my wife getting home from working at the hospital over in the States? right? Over in Detroit. We're that close. Like my wife's American, and that's very common, right? My best man at my wedding and my brother-in-law, they both live in Windsor, work in Detroit, right? So when that border closes, you guys go, oh, we'll pray for him. We go, holy smokes, what are we going to do? Canadian money was at par at one point. You guys go, great, I'm going to go to Costco and fill up on gas in Buffalo. And we go, uh-oh, how are we going to make money? Because we need a weaker Canadian dollar to the American dollar, but we figure these things out. We're used to the American crisis du jour every 3 to 5 years in Windsor. So for us, the trade war, it might be like big and scary to a lot of the country. To us, and literally this is our own mayor saying this, and I totally agree with him. He's like, it's just another blip. That's how it is for us. We'll deal with it. We always deal with it. There's always something with America every 3 to 5 years. Just how it is for us. So that sort of resiliency, that ability to continue running your businesses is something you want to hear as a real estate investor. We don't get hit the same way as you think because we're resilient. We're used to it. We're battle hardened through just dealing with all these, we call them American disasters du jour, right? Like what's going to happen next? So guys, I think I kind of let the cat out of the bag at the beginning. How much could Windsor get? Basically anywhere between about 5% to 8% of that spend. The spend is going to be about $42 billion a year. So when I crunched the numbers, I came out with $2.5 to $3.4 billion a year. ChatGPT agrees with me independently. I kind of asked it and it came out with very similar figures to what I calculated. And I think from there, you're going to see the ability of essentially like a shift to a whole bunch of juicy contracts that don't go away in bad economic times. So it's another great example of what's going on in the city and why this city is continuing to progress in some ways, unfortunately, from a big small town into a small big town. Provided I live to a decent age, I will get to experience watching Windsor and its environs go from about 450,000 people right now to over 1 million. It's just the way it's going, and I'm proud of my city for that. But it will get us away from that small town feel a little bit where everybody knows everybody. And if you're from Windsor watching this, you know what I'm saying, right? Everybody knows it's 1 degree of Kevin Bacon down here. And it really shouldn't be because there's so many of us, but that's how it works, and it's beautiful. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So as an investor, guys, understand greater economic diversification and greater economic output because of those military contracts, because Windsor's only one of the few cities in Canada that's really well equipped and ready to go for what the federal government wants, which is to reshore and build military equipment here. And I mean, for example, I'll leave you with this. If we take that South Korean contract for the submarines, there's all kinds of other manufacturing contracts that come with that. And again, guess who's going to get a ton of those, right? We are down here. And again, that further bolsters the attractiveness for the real estate investor. As always, subscribe below, guys. There's also our Facebook investment group. We're here if you have any further questions and concerns about investing in Windsor, Ontario. 90% of our investors do not live in Windsor, so it might be new to you. It's not to us. It's very routine. Let's get you going. I'm Reece Trena from the Vanguard team. Talk to you soon.